Sure. Okay. Hi, guys. Welcome, everyone. My name is Tara. As you know, I'll be your group leader slash facilitator. The topic tonight will be on bullying. We'll be here for a total of 2 hours, as we know, at which time we'll be defining bullying, exploring its impact, building awareness, and discussing interventions and prevention. To start out with, I'd like to do each of us to do just a really short introduction. If you could just share your name and program of study. And I'll start with Dominique.
Hello, my name is Dominique Logan, and I am in clinical mental health counseling. No emphasis or anything.
Thank you, Dominique. And Krista's next.
I'm Krista, and I am in the clinical mental health as well, with no emphasis.
Thank you, Krista. And Shanetta.
Hi, I'm Shanetta, and I am taking clinical mental health. That's all.
Okay. No emphasis either. Thank you, Shanetta. Shay.
Hi, I'm Shy. I am in clinical mental health with emphasis on trauma.
Thank you. And also same program for me, emphasis with trauma. Okay, and as we know, our session is 2 hours, so just a little short breakdown here. We're in the 15-minute intro section right now where we'll go over the group rules, limits of confidentiality, and then we'll do a short icebreaker. And then for the following 50 minutes, we'll do a group topic discussion on bullying, on the key points that I had mentioned just a moment ago. And then for the next 10 minutes after that, we'll do a wrap up and set goals for our next session, which would be Shanetta's session on anxiety. And then after that, we'll take a nice 15-minute break. And then the final 30 minutes will be our reflection questions. Okay. So this is what we're going to be going over. We'll go over defining bullying, exploring its impact, building awareness, and then prevention and interventions.
Okay.
Okay, and then just to go over our group rules here, each facilitator must review the limits of confidentiality each week, which I'll go over. No side conversations, including phones and chat rooms, please. Show up on time, which we all did today. Thank you. Communicate if anything happens. Example, Dominique did go ahead and share that she's not feeling well, and if she needs to go, she's just going to hop off. As we know, our cell phone numbers were shared with each of us going forward. The leader records, so I'll be recording. The backup person is going to be Krista, which she has the PowerPoints, should something happen to my internet connection. And then we'll take turns talking, obviously. Try not to talk over each other. And feel free to share stories, trying to limit it to at least no longer than 5 minutes, I mean. Okay, so thank you all for filling out the consigned sent form prior to our session. I'd like to take a few minutes to discuss the limits of confidentiality in our group setting. While I will do my best to keep what's shared in this group private, there are limits to that. I'm committed to creating a safe and respectful space where everyone feels comfortable sharing, of course. Things I have to report as listed here are anything, if anyone shares information about harming themselves or others, or if there's suspect abuse or neglect. I am required by law to report those instances to the appropriate authorities. Additionally, if I am subpoenaed by court, I may be legally required to release information shared in the session. Please remember that all of us in the group are also responsible for maintaining confidentiality. This means that what's shared in the group should stay in the group. If you feel uncomfortable or unsure about anything shared, don't hesitate to speak to me privately. And of course, my goal is to ensure that everyone feels safe and supported, so that we can work together towards any healing or growth that's needed. Should you need to contact my supervisor, you see the name Deirdre Jackson there, and you can reach her at the phone number listed or the email. Okay, so just to get started here, now that we've gotten past the heavy stuff, let's go ahead and start off with something a little bit lighter. We're going to do an icebreaker. And so the icebreaker question, as you see here, is if you could have any superpower, what would it be? And tell us why you chose that. And I will go first. And then we'll go with Dominique in the same order that we went in prior. So my superpower that I'd like to have the power of instant healing for myself and others. The reason that is, it would be awesome to be able to set people free from traumas instantly. And of course, as a counselor, that's obviously something I want to do, but it won't be able to be instant. So I thought that would be a cool example. So, all right, Dominique.
I love it. That was a good one. I would say speed. Like the Flash, just so I can get to places faster.
Yeah.
And bypass all the traffic.
There you go. Shanetta. Or we changed orders here. Sorry, I'll call you just as I see you. Shanetta, go ahead, hon.
I think growing up, when I heard this question, I think it used to be I wanted to be invisible, between invisible or flying. But if it was invisible, just of course, so I can be, listen to people conversation back then. That's when I was nosy or just, in business. But it'd be to be invisible.
That'd be an awesome one. Yeah, be a fly on the wall here. What's going on? All right, Shy.
Mine's probably would be teleportation. I like to travel, so I'd like to be able to just hop from like one place to another. My husband says I have a bad habit of planning too much in one little vacation because I like to go to different places. So I feel like that would help with me getting my way, if we're being honest.
Right on. That's a good one too. All right, and last but not least, Krista.
I wish I could eat anything I wanted and not gain weight or have medical complications from it, because I am a type 2 diabetic and struggle with gastroparesis. And so my diet is limited to anything that dissolves in water.
Oh man. Yeah,
Yeah, like no fresh fruits, vegetables, fried foods, no lunch meat, processed meat, no pizza.
totally limited. Yeah, I feel for you. I understand that. I have some issues going on with my gut as well, just with age. And I think I shared last time, drinking coffee too much, trying to survive grad school has kind of messed up my stomach. So I try to do a similar diet to you. Though I had pizza last night and I'm feeling the effects of that, unfortunately.
Mhm.
But okay. Well, thank you for each of you sharing. So the first part of our session was just a 15-minute introduction, and we're running a little bit ahead, but that's okay. We'll figure all of this out as we go. Okay. So let's go ahead and just jump right in here into the role of group counseling in addressing bullying. So as I had mentioned, this is a safe space for sharing. Feel free to share any experiences once we get there that are personal, things that you've experienced yourself or have observed in others. Try to kind of be thinking of those examples ahead of time, just to give yourself some time there. And of course, this is a place of support and validation for peers. You're welcome to this completely be a mock session for you if you want it to be that. Um, uh, I don't want you to feel any sort of pressure to share anything that you've actually experienced, none of that. And we'll do skill building for coping and intervention as well. Also, if, we could be mindful of others' feelings, this is a safe and supportive space. Your emotions and experiences are valid, and please know that you are not alone. It really is a tough topic, if you've experienced it at all, and everybody's experience does matter. Ultimately, what we want to offer, as I had mentioned as well, healing and growth are possible, and we can explore ways to cope and build resilience, should we find that that's needed. Okay. All right, so I'm going to make this a little bit interactive. Could I have one of you read the definition of bullying that I have there, and just volunteer?
It says, bullying is a deliberate and repeated pattern of aggressive behavior where an individual or group intentionally harms or intimidates someone perceived as vulnerable. And the forms are verbal, physical, relational, and cyberbullying. And it says key statistics on bullying prevalence, youth and adults.
Okay, so to go over the examples of, say, verbal bullying, do any of you have an example that you can share for verbal bullying? Like what does that look like? And I'll let you guys jump in.
Some of my kids that I work with, um, the examples that they give me a lot of times are they get made fun of for their weight or the clothes that they're wearing, how they look, because a lot of the kids in crisis are um like the lower economic group, and so they get made fun of, and it's a lot of the verbal attacks.
Yeah, the name calling or slander words or racial slurs. That a lot of that, especially in like Shai was saying, in lower economic areas, like I know Spokane's rough. Lived there for 12 years, and it's one of the roughest communities I ever lived in.
Yeah. Yeah, those are some great examples. And yeah, I know there is prevalence in certain areas and certain demographics, as you guys had mentioned. Verbal bullying, according to one study, is the most prevalent or frequent form of bullying as well. And then of course, the other types, as you see, there's physical, relational, and cyberbullying. The physical, uh, if we can share some of those examples as well, I'll start with like intimidation is a form of physical bullying. Do we have any others that you guys can think of?
You meant in relational,
Physical.
physical,
Yeah.
yeah, hitting,
Mm-hmm.
blocking, preventing somebody from leaving a room, or locking them out of the house, um, leaving them somewhere.
Yeah,
Yeah.
those are really good, really good.
Yeah. Those are good.
Leaving them somewhere, that's never thought of that as a way of physical bullying, but yeah. Abandoning somebody. Any other examples on that?
Pushing,
Yeah,
stealing hair,
really good. Yeah.
stealing their property.
Mm-hmm.
Spraying them like pepper spraying, bear spraying, spray painting their vehicles, attacking their homes. I mean, a lot of that can be all kinds of forms of physical bullying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Damaging someone's belongings.
Property. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay, and so then we have the relational, which it kind of meshes in with the cyberbullying, right? Because that's the social media is all relational.
Yeah, but there's also like gaslighting, narcissistic behaviors,
Yeah, that's
um,
true.
head games.
Mm-hmm. I know that there's probably some of us or some here that have experienced that. Me. Um,
I think everybody has in some way, shape, or form. Unfortunately, our world is that way.
yeah, yeah, especially as you've had a good amount of life experience, eventually you'll run into it, unfortunately. Any other,
Like workplace bullying could even be relational.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
you guys think of anything else?
I don't know if it's been said, but like financial abuse.
Oh, that's a good,
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
Like
so that,
power trips over
Yeah,
money.
yeah. If one of the spouses make more money and gives the other spouse allowance, and
Or
maybe
the
withhold that.
mm-hmm.
or the homemaker being treated less than.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that goes along with public humiliation, spreading rumors. And then to isolate cyberbullying on its own, because it does have its own unique situations through digital platforms. What types of things happen there that you have heard of, experienced, or seen?
Oh, once it goes on the internet, it's there forever.
Yeah, trying to exploit someone's like maybe naked pictures or sexual pictures that they may have sent
Yeah,
someone.
Catfishing,
yeah. Harassing, intimidating.
photoshopping people's photos and making them appear differently.
Mm-hmm. That's a good one.
There's even,
Calling
Threat.
keyboard warriors.
say that again, Shay.
Spreading rumors.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then
Spreading
Keyboard warriors.
rumors.
there's even AI now too, where you can make it look like somebody's saying something and they're not, which is really scary. All right. So, and then also the threatening messages, shaming. I saw once, several years ago, a little girl, it broke my heart actually. She, I guess, caught stealing. And her parents had her holding a sign up, and took a picture of her and posted it on social media. And the sign says, "I am a thief." And that just broke my heart so much because that's shaming. And I can't imagine how that little girl felt. It's abuse. It's abusive.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you all for sharing those examples. So then there's the statistics and the prevalence which affect youth and adults. Bullying is a pervasive issue affecting all age groups. We have the ageism, we have racial bullying, we have gender bullying, we have all forms of it. And it looks like a study found that 37.8% of students experience cyberbullying, with the incidence among eighth grade students at a high of 42.1%. So that particular group
Wow.
has a high prevalence. And if you've had anybody, a child or know somebody in eighth grade, or can remember your own eighth grade experiences, middle school is pretty brutal. So that makes sense, right? And then research indicates that victims of cyberbullying and school bullying have significantly greater increased suicide prevalence, and actually even people intending for that to happen to others. And that has been an increasing situation, unfortunately. Okay, so thank you all for sharing. We'll go ahead and jump into any personal experiences. I went ahead and I did go ahead and share one that I saw happening, not one that has happened to me, but as I had asked earlier, try to think of some that you've experienced or seen, and it can be within any of those areas, the physical, verbal, social, or cyberbullying. Now, if you want to pass, you're welcome to pass, but I'm going to go in order here. Dominique, I'll get you out of the way. I feel bad for you not feeling well. Go
I
ahead.
know I'm struggling, y'all. I'm sorry.
I see it.
I don't know if I've ever been bullied or bullied anyone, but I just remember being in grade school and junior high and like taking up for the people that were being bullied. Um, so yeah, that put a special place in my heart to always like seek out the less than person. Um, but in my experience, I haven't, not that I know of, have experienced bullying. My mom has with her ex-husband many years ago, but um, which I feel like that kind of spilled over to her kids because she would get all beaten and all the things from her ex-husband, who we love now, but during that time, yeah, that was just a rough period. Like I feel like the way he treated her spilled over to us as the kids. Um, I think that's it.
It does have generational consequences,
Yeah.
unfortunately. Thank you for sharing. Shy, I'll have you go next.
So I come from a biracial family. My dad's black, my mom's white. And so growing up, when he was in the picture for the little bit that he was, I would get made fun of and be called a marshmallow because I'm very white compared to his complexion. So I had that bully, and then I felt like it kind of made me have more of a harder exterior to where I didn't realize when I was younger I was becoming the bully because I was the bully. So I had to learn how to stick up for myself without being a bully, which is a lot harder than it sounds. I mean, as an adult now, it's like, oh, it's so easy. But as a kid, it was a lot harder. But those type of experiences are like, I'd had more of the racial bullying than I guess anything else.
Yeah, that trauma can definitely have an effect when we grow up and have tough emotional situations, right? And we're just responding out of trauma a lot of times. Thank you for sharing, Shy. Okay, Krista, you're next.
I lived in a really small town when I was in elementary school. It wasn't until high school that we moved to a bigger area. And the small town we lived in, my father ended up getting arrested for murder and going to prison. And I was bullied and picked on, and a lot of kids weren't allowed to be around me, and I was never invited anywhere. The kids I went to kindergarten, this was in third grade, so like when birthday parties are big and doing all kinds of things, but because of what my dad did, um, I was pretty much shunned to where until my mom could afford to move, I was relocated to my aunt and uncle's house to where I could go to a different school district where people wouldn't know what happened.
Wow. Yeah, that's really intense. I'm sorry you experienced that. Um, do
It
you,
was all gang related.
oh my goodness.
Mhm.
Wow. Thank you for sharing that. Okay, Shanetta.
Um, I think I can remember one time real clear where I was being bullied. This was in elementary school. I was like I said mentioned, I was a shy kid, always kept to myself. But it would be like some girls would like, come over and pick on me and poke on me. Um Honestly, I think about it. I don't think I allowed it to affect me any kind of way. It could have made me an angry person, but that I didn't realize, growing up. It could have, because I was one of them. I'm actually one of them person that mags things down. So once it happened, it's happened and it's over. But I guess growing up, it did somehow affect me some type of way because I was angry. I did get upset real easily.
Mhm.
Um, but that's about it. Like, but I do have a niece
Mhm.
who's been the bully. You
Mhm.
know, we see she's pretty much getting recorded, so we could see what's going on. We could tell like she's the one, so we trying to figure out like what's going on. Is she getting them before they get her, or is she, or what she has seen before? Like, and it's showing on her now. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, yeah, thanks for sharing. Yeah, we will go over some of the effects of bullying and shortly here. We'll dive into that as well. Um, so for me, from the last person sharing on this topic here is, I remember, so I'm from England, and when my mom married my stepdad, who was American, so when they got married, I ended up going to school on base housing, and I had a British accent. And oh, I hated feeling different because people would be like, oh my gosh. And this was American school, but in England. And I guess a lot of the kids hadn't been exposed to, the actual British people there. So it was really a weird dynamic for me because I'm like, I'm from here, but I sound different than the actual people that I'm going to school with. And so I wanted to get rid of my accent. And if eventually left me because I came to the United States permanently a few years later, and because I was so young, my accent left and it's never come back. Sadly, I wish I had it now, but yeah, that made me not want to be different. And another time I remember that carried on into school for me with my name. My name is Tara, but I remember because I didn't want to be different, there was a girl named Tara in the class, and she introduced herself first, and I started going by Tara at that point. That's how different I didn't want to be. And, that's messaging, that we get growing up. And, I guess being in a school, not wanting to be different and feel, especially if you're shy, because I was very shy as a child. Um, yeah. And now I'm unlearning that messaging from those, all of the things I've been through in my life and still am going through to this day of embracing who I am personally. And, even the parts of me I don't love because I was made this way. Right. And so I need to embrace that so that I can be all that I am created to be and walk fully in my purpose. Otherwise, I'm going to just disappear into the crowd, and I don't want that to happen. So, okay. Thank you, ladies. So we are at 8:30 and we've got a good amount of time to go still as far as our discussion. How are you doing, Dominique? You hanging in there?
Yeah, trying to hang.
Okay. Okay. So here we go on the mental health effects, the impact of bullying. So there's mental health effects that can impact our academic and work performance. It has a social and emotional impact and long-term consequences as well if we don't address them. So we'll go over together as a group examples of each of these. So I'll start with the mental health effects. It can increase the risk of anxiety. Go ahead and hop to you, Dominique, if you can, or if if you guys want to jump in, we can do it that way, or we can go in order. Do you guys think going in order is better?
Oh yeah, that's fine. Whichever way you
Does that matter? Okay, doesn't matter. Okay,
Um,
trying to not have it be so formal and more relaxed, but because I'm new at this, I'm practicing here, so.
Oh, it's going great. I think mental health effects, one that I think about and something I struggle with is anxiety for sure.
Mm.
Um, yeah. So if someone is being bullied at school, they may have anxiety when they go to school or wherever the place is that they're getting bullied, or they see a person that looks similar. Yeah, can definitely cause some anxiety there.
Mhm. And what do you think, just to uh, carry that a little further, what do you think the anxiety is a result of? Obviously the bullying, but like what's the root of anxiety a lot of times?
I think it's fear.
Fear.
Yeah,
That was
it's
what I
fear.
was trying to get at. Okay, Shy, you have an example?
Um, Depression. So a lot of my kids that I work with are, they have some form of depression based off of bullying, either in home or at school, and it affects how they like move through their daily basis. So like how they dress or how they respond to certain situations. Sometimes they'll respond more in like a monotone voice because they're afraid. Other times they'll shut down and just not respond at all and they isolate, and then it causes whatever other mental health stuff that they have going on to increase and get worse.
Yeah, so it's kind of like they're displaying low self-esteem as a result, and depression, and kind of wanting to hide within themselves. Anything else, Shanetta? You have
Um,
mental health?
well, I always, well, when I, going back to my niece, when I discuss about the effects of bullying, how it can be traumatizing, and I always let her know, like, you can be making that your peers junior high experience miserable, you know. And so I told her, it can be traumatizing eventually, because it can affect them when they get older.
Absolutely. Yeah. And carry into their adulthood for sure. Okay. Krista.
It can cause them to become suicidal, self-harming themselves. Um, Sometimes especially young people, they don't understand or know why it's happening or how to make the pain stop, and it's more of a emotional pain. They don't know how to express themselves.
Mhm. I'm so happy that mental health is becoming more of a less of a taboo topic, definitely, so that we can address the mental aspect of our being. So important. It's a large part of who we are. Okay, so let's hop into the academic and work performance effects. I know for me, um, if I feel like my self-esteem is, say, for example, at work, I feel like I didn't do something and I feel like my boss lashed out to me or was insensitive in some way, and maybe it had nothing to do with me even, but I know that, it's like my morale to do a good job drops. Um, Even though I want to still do a good job because I know I should, I just don't have that motivation, right? So that's an example of how, I guess that's not a direct example of bullying, but similar, very similar. Dominique, what do you think? How do you think bullying affects academic and work performance?
Oh yeah, I mean it causes a distraction for sure, I believe so, um, which can affect productivity or focusing.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That's good. Shy.
Um, It's definitely like what Dominique said, productivity and focusing. If they're being bullied, you're not going to want to, I guess, put effort into your daily tasks that you know you have to get done at work or in school, and you'll end up just not performing at your best.
Yeah. It's like almost like your mind is preoccupied. Shanetta?
Um, well, no, it could probably cause the kids, not be able to sleep at night. So you're not sleeping well at night.
Mhm.
Not gonna be able to perform academic work,
Mhm.
school. Um, just hearing from, I guess, from statistics and stuff like that, do make them perform not at their best. They always have something in the back of their mind or worried about something. So it do show up in their schoolwork.
Yeah. Lack of concentration, lower grades. Yeah. Thank you for sharing, Krista.
Everyone's pretty much touched base on it, but I would think, like, aside from performance, maybe a lot of call-offs, calling in sick,
Mhm.
taking longer lunches, always getting to work late.
Yeah. And it could even make you feel sick, so you're legitimately just not well. And maybe because I know, based on things I'm learning and experiencing myself, when I'm feeling any of that, our immune system is not as strong as well.
Then I'm also
Okay.
thinking now that everyone went to is like maybe that person is lashing out in a way that they typically probably wouldn't because of what's happening.
Right. It's maybe the only way they know how to assert themselves. Really, it's a cry for help, right? And um, okay, yeah, and we'll get into effective ways to ask for help too. I'm glad you brought that up. Okay, so the social and emotional impact. Let's see if I can give an example. It just makes you want to withdraw, right? Especially if you're young and you don't know how to process emotions and you really don't understand why you're feeling the way you do, or you do and you don't know how to deal with it. I think our human nature is to withdraw and self-protect. Yeah. Anything else on that, Dominique?
I think you hit it just mostly like withdrawing,
Mm-hmm.
not wanting to do things or go places out of that fear.
Right. Self-protection. Shy?
I don't really have anything. I feel like you hit all of the points. Um, because I mean, you do end up becoming self-sabotaging eventually, just when your emotions are high.
Yeah, absolutely. I have a son, I'll insert because piggyback off what you're saying. I have a son who he's 18 and he's experienced quite a bit of bullying. And we definitely need to address it. But his response is now that these things happen to him, so he's going to come back even harder. And obviously it's not the best way to handle it. It's counterproductive, but being, at his emotional maturity, it makes sense that that's the way he's responding, especially being a male. High testosterone, 18 years old, just tired of being pushed around. Um, so that's another
I was also
way.
I was also thinking about revenge. I mean, sometimes we see in media um, someone getting picked on at school, and then they try to take matters in their own hands, and
Mhm.
um,
They can get really extreme, and
yeah,
unfortunately we make decisions that have sometimes irreversible consequences, like the next um, point says. Did we have any other social and emotional impact, or are we good to move on? Okay. So yeah, back to the long-term consequences. we had hit on it earlier too with suicide, the suicide rate going up in those that are being bullied significantly. Anything else to add to that, Dominique? No, you already said something, never mind.
Yeah, I think, like I said, what we see in the media is, you know, people taking things into their own hands and trying to seek revenge for being bullied, sometimes on innocent people that had nothing to do with it.
Yeah. Sure, you probably have some pretty good examples with the kids.
Yeah, a lot of long-term consequences is they drop out of school. They no longer want to finish school because they think that anytime they participate, they're going to get bullied or talked down to by a teacher. Or when an adult's talking to them that they're not familiar with, they automatically are assuming that they're bullying them. So they're just very on the offense or the defense, sorry, not offense. They're on the defense all the time. Sorry, my pregnancy brain is real right now.
That's so good, Shay. That's really good.
Yeah.
They are on the defense no matter what. And then they think that a form of self-control is to cut themselves. And so cutting themselves, they end up either causing long-term damage to their nervous system, leaving scars, or they potentially kill themselves. And that's not really what they meant to do.
Yeah, that's rough. The cutting. I've never cut, thank God, but I guess it's a form of release. I do know somebody who does that, or did that at some point, and I guess it's also like a way to, I guess, logically release the pain if you don't know how to emotionally deal with it. I think that's maybe. Shanetta, what about long-term consequences? Do you have anything to add about was it your niece?
Yeah, well, I mean, the most bullies that I knew, now as an adult, they regret being that bully. So, but that's why I let them know, But of course, I feel like that's when alcohol come into play. If you don't deal with your past, stuff you went through in school, middle school, like that's where alcohol come into play, and doing things that's not quote unquote normal. Being promiscuous, doing drugs, just doing things out of character, as you get older.
That's good, Shanetta.
Yeah, that is really good. Substance abuse,
Mm-hmm.
future aggression, self-harm. Really good. Yeah, really good examples. Okay, let's take a look at where we are on time. So we had 50 minutes so we have another 20 minutes here. Let's take a look at our next slide.
I'm gonna run to the bathroom real fast, okay? My bladder is like this small.
Yeah, no,
So,
go for it. Go for
okay.
it. And that goes for everybody. If you need to go, you gotta go. Okay. I will keep going because she'll be back by the time we go back. We come around to her. Okay, so we're looking at interventions now. Okay, so interventions, recognizing signs of bullying in individuals can help with intervention. Boundaries can help with intervention. Knowing how to set boundaries and establishing them. And also knowing how to intervene, responding as an observer. Let's see here. So let's go over like what some signs of bullying are. Because a person, you may not see it happen, you may not know it's happening, but let's, talk about awareness of what to look out for. And I'll go ahead with there's all different types of signs. There's physical signs. We went over the academic work issues, social changes, also in eating and sleeping, low self-esteem. So physical signs could be something like injuries. And what other things could be physical signs of
Are you talking about for the bully or the ones who are being bullied?
so I guess the one being bullied, if we're wanting to intervene, well, I guess it could go both ways. Yeah, it doesn't have to be either one. So what would be, yeah, just I guess physical, academic, social, eating, like what signs in general should we look out for?
I think for the person who's being bullied, maybe like their hygiene is declining in some way, possibly.
Mhm. Lack of self.
So, like for my work, I deal with I work with children. I'm sure most of you guys know, like with the crisis team, especially here in Spokane. Like what Krista says, it's very rough.
Mhm.
Most of our kids, signs that they're either being bullied or that they have something deeper going on are hygiene, like Dominique said. They're not eating.
Mhm.
They're isolating.
Yep.
They're either lashing out more than what they normally would be lashing out. Their grades drop at like school, or they stop showing up to work, or they're lying more. Just little things that like you would think are a kid being defiant, those things increase 10,000 more than what they normally would be for them. And then it leads into more dangerous acts and then being like what Shanita said, being promiscuous and doing things like drinking alcohol and drugs and just increasing those dangerous behaviors to the point where it does get to the point where cops or EMS or something has to be involved to help them pull out of that cycle because it comes into like a tornado and they can't get out of it.
Mhm. Yeah, fairly good, really good. I almost feel like why did I do bullying? No, it would have been good for you to do this one as well. So let's I think let me see if we missed any. Does anybody have any other signs? Because that was all really good. I think it covered a whole lot.
Um,
The physical, the lashing out, the effects
I
of
would I
school.
would think like those with an intensive arrest history, substance use,
Mm-hmm.
um, those that are arrested for domestic violence related situations.
Mm-hmm.
Domestic violence charges, specifically in Washington State, does not always mean that there was physical contact. It could be damaging an intimate partner's belongings, throwing things, punching walls, threatening and intimidation. Also, in the state of Washington, you can also get charged with assault too, which is a felony punishable by prison time for sending a threatening text message that you are going to physically harm or kill somebody.
Yeah.
Um, what I don't have the statistics with me, but I became a domestic violence perpetrator treatment counselor in Spokane County. And Spokane County specifically has one of the highest rates of domestic violence in the entire nation. Um, there is actually a YouTube video about the police and a woman's story actually in Spokane, that you guys can see. I think it was like Spokane domestic violence, something domestic violence Spokane. You guys will find it. Um, that it all starts with the bullying. And so that's a sign that somebody has,
Mm-hmm.
a track record, lots of unemployment,
Mm-hmm.
homelessness is also leads to bullying. Um, so I could definitely side with Shy because it in downtown Spokane's no joke even in the daylight.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
People run
Yeah.
down the street and stab you just to stab you.
Or jump out in front of your cars.
Is that Washington?
Yep.
Oh, yes. Spokane, Washington. They also have the largest number of cop episodes on
There I go, right there.
TV.
That's where I got it from. Cops.
You may know it as Spokompton. That's what they like to call it out here is Spokompton because of how bad the physical and the crime rates are now, especially with
That
teens.
is.
It's increased over the last couple years with teens after COVID, and we have homeless shelters for youth out here, and the violent acts and bullying that happened there does not help with the rates of domestic violence, like Krista was saying. I think I
Mhm.
see a kid at least once, if not every other week, in juvie. And it's because they get into a physical violence and they have a perspective of, well, I'm going to get them before they get me.
And over 50% of the drive-by shootings over there involve minor children.
Yep.
One of them was just murdered by a 25-year-old guy. Hard to say what the situation was. I don't know either parties. But there was a drive-by shooting and a 13-year-old was shot in the head inside his own home at like 2 in the morning. And it had to do with a payback about something.
This is why I at first I wanted to go into school counseling because well, like someone mentioned earlier, mental health is really becoming a big crisis out here, and actually it starts little. The seed is planted, and then it and grows and grows and grows, and they don't get any help learning how to what you call managing their emotions, because we quick they work on impulse. If you notice nowadays, kids work on straight impulse. There's no thinking, no consequences, what's to come. Straight, like you said, I'm gonna do it. So that's why I wanted to become a school counselor for, but I switched over because I wanted to not only it's not them just affected, but as an adult, maybe in a program, Krista, I never heard that program where, well, maybe I have, where you counsel excess offenders. So that's probably what they call it, 42 weeks of court appointed. You get 42 weeks. Okay, so yeah, so that's interesting. And same thing, learning to manage emotions, self control. So, but like I said, I switched it over to
Oh,
work with different populations.
and Shai can probably contest this too. You've got to get the kids to go to school in order to counsel them at school. So you've got to get them there.
Yeah.
There is no punishment anymore towards
Nope.
parents for not getting their kids to school.
Except the Becca bill, and the Becca bill doesn't do anything either.
Mm-mm.
So you have to push
And that,
harder to get them to school and give them an incentive to go to school and give them resources to use for coping as they're in school, because you know that they're getting bullied not only in school, but they're probably getting bullied at home by their parents
Yeah.
because parents
True.
only do
Yeah.
so much.
Yeah, and I always say you never know what that child going through at home, what they seen,
True.
because everything starts at home.
Yes, it does.
Bottom line. So, and it do carries outside of the home. Now they learning things what they see at home, so they taking it to school. And we not always see the problem with what we do in front of our children. It does affect them. It gets in their psyche, and they take it out in the world, and then they just do whatever, and it's showing, and it's not only out there, but I live in Oakland, I know Oakland, California. So it's big time things going on here, especially with our youth. But they lagging a lot of stuff, a lot of care, not a nurture. Everybody quick to blame things on them or judge them, and of course they're gonna react. So because they working on impulse and they defending themselves the best way that they know how. On top, these videos, these bad girls club, these baddies. I don't know if y'all know anything about them shows on TV. They don't help, because that's all about bullying. That's all about trauma, all about mess, all about everything. So that don't help either. Then they form
So
cliques,
true.
and it goes on and on and on.
That's what I was going to point out too, is that the bully can be male, female, high class standard, low economic standard. It can be a little bit of anybody.
Yeah.
But we do see it on. I don't watch those shows, but I know about those shows, and I do see them on there.
Yeah. Yeah, so that leads us well into the next slide here. What are our prevention strategies at school and at home? Because as you guys had mentioned, that we need to have education awareness, but how do we do that if, the kids are not getting to school? And how do we educate the parents? Or, what about the parent who's, for my example, where my son has been bullied and now I'm dealing with, his mental health not doing so well as a result of it. So what are the prevention strategies and what can we do personally? I mean, truthfully within ourselves to help, I know we can think big and it be too overwhelming, but narrow that down to, just one person, for me being my son. Um, so here's the examples here. Education awareness. It almost feels like with the things that you guys were sharing, like such a, like almost too big, like what something else has to change. And I know that in those metropolis cities, crime is much worse, but what's the root of all of that? Um, I am a person of faith, and I will say that being, that it starts at home, as you guys had mentioned. I think it's really important for us parents to demonstrate, what a healthy family looks like. And that can be hard, especially if you didn't come from it yourself. And I didn't. I came up, my mom suffered mental health issues. My stepdad didn't know how to deal with that. Broken family, my mom in and out of mental institutions a lot of my life. My family dynamics led me to the degree that I'm seeking, because I want to take my life experiences and demonstrate, that ability to overcome no matter what you've come through, right?
Yeah.
So what are you guys, what are your thoughts further on that, Dominique?
I definitely think starting at home. Um, I have an 11-year-old that's still under my care, even though my adult daughter lives here. But and just advocating for my son at school, because he's had issues, not necessarily bullying, but just other things, and just advocating. I will go as high as a superintendent at school, but I don't care, to make sure that my son has the resources that he needs to be successful. But really just having those conversations at home, because I too grew up in a home where my mom didn't verbally say she loved me, but I knew she loved me by her actions. But just making sure with our son that we are having conversations and those open-ended questions to see how school is going and if anything is going on, and just making it a safe place, because sometimes us as parents, whoever is a parent, but we can say one thing and then demonstrate another thing. So we say be open, but once they tell us something that we don't like, then we want to blow up and um, overreact. And so definitely I think fostering conversations at home of what bullying looks like, because like it can look differently, not just somebody pushing you or whatever, but it can look at many different ways. And then advocating for your kid at school,
That's
I
really
think
good.
is great.
That's really good. Shanetta, do you have anything to add to that? That's really awesome.
Um,
I'm going to the bathroom. I'll be right back.
I'm gonna be honest, like, because where where we grew up, my kids grew up. I had to be honest, open and honest with them. Like, everybody is not your friend. When we get to middle, when they, I don't know. I just remember experience I had. When you get to middle school, things change. Kids start to try to figure themselves out. So they might change and switch up on you. So, but I always tell them, like, at the end of the day, be yourself. You don't have to be like anybody else. You don't have to. Oop, my dog getting on my bed. Conform to this world. I am also come here. My faith is strong too. So I just really just taught my kids, self-confidence.
Mhm.
Just, be yourself. Um, don't allow anybody to take you from you,
Mhm.
take you out of character.
Mhm.
And nowadays it is I understand, where kids coming from, because if they trying to figure themselves out, and it's hard when you don't have, like, I say, faith, I say, taught, how important you are regardless of who say so.
Mhm.
um what else, like, I don't know. That's all. Just be open, honest with people, I mean, about what's going on in this world. Can't sugarcoat it, but just teach them, like, no matter what, just be yourself, and you don't have to fight fire with fire. Let them know you don't have to fight fire with fire. Right now, it's probably something, they see in him that they are them that they jealous of, and they don't even know it yet.
Mhm.
But they just continue to be themselves.
Yeah.
And that's all.
Yeah, I love that, the self-awareness and the installation of letting the kids know that they matter. Um, I think that's something that I struggled with growing up, going through having a mom who was mentally ill. I think most of our attention was on that, and the kids didn't really get, me and my brother and sister didn't get a lot of I don't know, I guess the nurturing that we needed, and especially from our mom, right? She wasn't able to do that. And so we always were put to the side as second because of her illness. And kids need to know that they matter. And that translated to my kids too. I have three kids. I have a 23-year-old, an 18-year-old, and a 6-year-old. And I've changed so much of who I am between the first two and my youngest now. And also my children are biracial. And a lot of what they went through, being African American and white, I didn't have any frame of reference for it personally. Um, though I did have an experience when I was younger, when one of my really good friends was discriminated against, and I think it was a defining moment for me actually in my life. Um, about 5 years old. His name was Broncus, and a little white girl wasn't allowed to play with us because he was black. And it was a really defining moment for me. And I think why I have struggled with, or I have struggled in my life with um, uh, white people, to be honest with you. Not so much anymore. But when I was younger and I was, finding my identity specifically, but even then, even with that awareness as a child, I didn't know exactly how to see, uh, especially with my older daughter, because she had some behavioral health issues, or behavioral issues, I mean, um, which could have been a result of being bullied. I just didn't know how to help her. And looking back in hindsight, I have learned so much about how to advocate for my kids, like you were saying, Dominique, instead of feeling like, oh, I have to submit to, because I'm taught to submit to authority, right? In my faith. But there are lines to that, and um, people are people regardless.
Yeah.
So um,
I love that self-awareness too, Tara.
yeah, thank you very much. Yeah. I'm 40, almost 40. Well, today's my birthday. I'm 46 today. And
Happy birthday!
Happy
thank you.
birthday.
Hey!
Oh, thank you. I'm like, I can finally celebrate after this, maybe tomorrow. Um,
My birthday's Tuesday next week.
oh, beautiful.
Well, look at you get to spend it with us amazing ladies for two.
Hey,
We're celebrating on Sunday anyways.
Good,
yeah,
good.
there's too much going on during the week, right? Okay, so that ends our the main chunk of our discussion or actual group discussion. So at 9:05 for the next 10 minutes, basically what we're doing is just preparing for our next meeting, which will be Shanetta's on the topic of anxiety. I have nothing to offer as far as what that would look like, but I know we can come up with something as a group. Maybe helps set Shanetta up for success. Anybody have anything as far as what the goals could be or what we can improve on? I'm not sure what we could talk about here.
I think having statistics is good. I love hearing the numbers.
Statistics for anxiety. Awesome. Oh, her dog. Okay.
Maybe cause and effects.
Awesome.
Like it doesn't have to be like, I know there's a lot of cause and effects. I'm not I'm not saying write me a book, but like just a couple of like you can pick and choose because I can think of a couple off the top of my head, but I also deal with anxiety every day with my clientele. But just pick and choose like a couple of causes and then like the effects, like you can do bullying for one, and then the effect of bullying, like how it increases anxiety and like symptoms of it.
Good. Yeah.
Another one is like how substance use heightens anxiety.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Self-medicating, how that doesn't really help. It just
Mm.
exactly doesn't help.
I deal with that all day long.
And another thing, as you guys are talking, so I have a personal printout for when I have moments of like crisis in my home or, dealing with my son's outbursts or whatever, or things like that. Like a plan, a go-to plan for, when there's a heightened anxiety moment. So I have like a crisis plan of like scriptures that I go to. For example, I'll take a deep breath and I'll whisper, in my faith to God, Lord, you're here, you're in control, help me stay grounded in you. I think a lot of times when what I love about this is it has helped me see that in moments of crisis or when emotions are heightened, it doesn't make me bad because I'm feeling those things, right? I think a lot of times I've struggled with this topic of anxiety is a really good one for me, as you can tell, but I've struggled with like feeling ashamed of how I'm responding to a situation. And I'm learning that just because I feel overwhelmed or because now I'm stuck in a loop doesn't make me bad. But I also have a plan to pull myself out of it. And something about having it on paper and having like steps for me, because I can have this in my head, right? But like, oh, where's my crisis plan? Really, really helps. So maybe having a crisis plan in a moment like that.
Yeah, I was thinking like coping mechanisms or tips
Yeah.
to because I have anxiety sometimes, and so
Yeah.
Wait, y'all. Okay, hold up, because now we getting into my
Yeah.
into my group section. So all this we can share when it comes to next week, because this is very important. Because we could say how many, five of us, we somehow, some way, also suffer from some sort of anxiety.
It's true.
Some sort. So
Yeah.
yeah, this is right up my alley because I'm one of the ones. But yes, but can we like not get too much into it right now? Because
Take
I feel
notes.
like it is
Take
like if we
notes.
are going into
Yeah.
it, and I will the idea of the vision I have for my time is actually, well, like be in a group, like we really doing a group thing, like we having our real life discussions. If y'all want to share real life experience, fine, or we can make up stuff, but that's I want up and down, sorry, this boy keep getting on my bed. When I'm on my bed, he already used the bathroom on my bed tonight. But yeah, so I want us to be open, and I want to be able to share our experience, and what, like in Tara case, what do she do to help her with her anxiety. So
Mhm.
good. We
Oh, I got
should.
I got a lot to bring for you.
Yeah. Hey, thank you.
Don't worry.
Perfect, because we're gonna need that 2 hours.
Use up that
Awesome.
time.
Yeah. Anything else to add to that, ladies? I think we've done this. I'm really actually surprised because at 8:20, I was like, oh my God, we have an hour and 20 minutes. What am I gonna do? It really like it really goes well. So for Shanetta and for the rest of you not that haven't done this yet, like we're women, we can talk. Yeah. So as long as we just have, points to hit, we're good.
When I did my outpatient with the females, we would always run over, run out of time.
Mhm.
Um, but what was funny was I had with my male clients when I did deferred prosecution, I would get them in lumps. Like I would get 6 to 8 at a time. And so I would put them in their own groups so that when they start together, they end together
No?
and they could see start to finish them because it was a 2 year program. And what's funny is by about third, fourth week, they would be just as chatty Cathys.
Yeah. Yeah.
Once they got to trust each other and figure out what they're supposed to do,
That's
get
nice.
them being mad at themselves.
Mhm.
I love this. It's like we're helping we're learning how to do group sessions, but we're also getting benefits out of it ourselves. I love
Yeah.
that. Love that. All right, so we are 2 minutes away from break. We can probably just go ahead and do that now. Take a 15-minute pause. Come back at 30, I don't know, however long 15 minutes is from now.
28.
I can't think anymore. There we go. Thank you.
Oh no, 27. 27. I'm sorry.
27. Okay, go ahead and
No. Yeah. Don't listen to me. I'm out of my mind right now. Okay.
that's
Before 8:30.
15 minutes from now. Here we go.
29 now.
There. See you soon, ladies.
Bye.
Oh, you laying down. Yeah. Oh, we're on the last 30 minutes.
I
stretch,
know.
ladies.
Yay. Okay.
Oh, boy. I know, I feel it too. And my dogs have howled and cried the whole time.
I didn't hear it. I thought it was your dog, but I think it was Shanetta's dog.
Yeah, it was hers.
Yeah.
Oh, shoot. Whoops.
Hey, I have a couple questions.
Go for it.
So this part right here,
Mhm.
the reflection thing that we're doing,
Yeah.
is this for the form that's inside our wow, brain work?
Halo group. Yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
the class resources where it says peer review slash self-review and reflection.
I think
That
we can take from this, but it's not directly related.
okay.
Yeah, not that
Okay, and then the second question, because this is my first video. Sorry, I had to eat. I was getting nauseous, so I'm like
No, you're fine.
trying to do everything. Um, this form, we submit this form separate, and then we don't worry about the video because you're gonna submit the video, right?
I will submit the group
Okay.
form that the teacher does evaluations on and with the link, yeah, of this. video.
Okay, and then we do our own peer review slash self-review and reflection and then turn that in.
Right.
Okay, okay. Thank
Yep.
you.
Yes, I goofed that part up with the self review and peer review. I didn't turn that in.
Mm,
Luckily she gave me a grace period.
okay.
I haven't gotten any grades back. Have any of you?
I have. I missed 3 words on one of them because they're supposed to be 75 to 100 words, and I missed 3 words and she dinged me. It's just a half a point, but just
Oh gosh, she's gonna ding me then because I wasn't that many words.
be aware that she's
She's dinging if you're not hitting the full.
reaching the
Okay.
word, even if it's a couple words.
Yeah,
Okay.
my
Well,
grade is
Even if it's just rambling, I'll make sure the words are there. Yeah, she's gonna ding me.
Yeah. Okay, so let's jump into the end of our discussion here. And hopefully this goes really fast, but let's try to make it obviously reach 30 minutes so we don't go under time. Okay, so reflection questions. So let's just start with there's 4 of them here. And we can all hit on each 4. So we'll start with number 1. What strengths did you identify or examine for yourself as the group participant or future group leader? And I guess I'll start here. Even though I was a leader. Maybe it doesn't apply to me. I don't know. I don't think this applies to me. Never mind. I'll hand that off to you, Dominique.
There we go. Oh,
Go ahead, Shanetta.
Yeah, go ahead.
okay. What strength did I identify or examine? I was open as a participant. Straight for by my experience. I had an experience of my niece.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, at that part as a participant.
I agree. Yeah, you did really well. Do you think you do you see any future leadership qualities in yourself as a result of that?
Ooh, yeah, hopefully I could use that same energy and my turn around. Um just thinking about it really, I'm getting a little anxiety about it, so I don't want to think about it right now. But I just hope I, be just as open and straightforward as I was this evening for my section.
No, I think you did really good. Yeah, for sure. And use, what you have learned of the 2 sessions that we've done as, use the same techniques or whatever. Feel free to do that. There's a lot of resources that help you organize your thoughts too. I just want to mention that.
Yeah.
So don't feel like
Okay.
you have to do that because there's a lot of tools out there
Okay.
that
Thank you.
I used. too. Okay. I think we're going in order here. Krista, looks like you're next. What strengths did you identify?
Let's see. For strengths, I participated in the group, had input for the group. Um, as a future group leader, I did not have enough content last week, but we'll have more content moving forward. On my next one,
Get a
mm,
chance at that. That's cool.
that's about all I have for it at the moment. Like everybody, we're all tired.
Yeah, definitely. And I think you did great too, as far as participating. And yeah, we learned. So no harm, no foul in that first run. That was our very first run. So, and it was late and yeah, all of that. So Shy.
I feel like I was able to provide some different background knowledge, um, and able to help lead the conversations into, I don't know, more like a progressive discussion. I don't know.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, you brought some real life experience from your job. Um, for sure. That really helped us along. I agree. And what about anything as far as future group leader strengths?
I'm gonna be honest. I don't know. I'm not really, I don't really like talking and being the leader of any group, to be honest, more of the introvert. So I guess I'm gonna have to make sure that I'm prepared with like some bulletin points that we can discuss and then go from there with our conversations and see where that leads us.
Yeah, no, that's great. And this is some encouragement. From the very first time, even our first hour meeting, I felt like you were strong. I did in sharing. Like you exert yourself with confidence. So
Mhm.
yeah.
Thanks. It's
And I
probably
know
because I
sometimes
talk
we
to
don't.
kids all day.
What's that?
I talk to kids all day, so
Oh
I
yeah,
think that's what it is.
probably where it comes from. Yeah. And sometimes we don't see it in ourselves, right? So it's good for others to point those things out. Okay. Did everybody answer that question? Strengths?
Oh, I didn't answer, but I think a strength for me today was just adding value to the conversation as well. And definitely persevering because I don't feel good, but definitely just want to show up for the group.
Yes, thank you so much for hanging with us. Yeah, that's going to pay off for you for sure. Okay, so let's move on to the next one. What areas of improvement did you identify or examine for yourself as a group participant? So the first one is what were the strengths, and now what improvements do you think that you could do? So go ahead and go. I guess we'll go back down to since you're on the bottom of my list, I say down, Shanetta, to give Dominique a little bit of a break.
Okay. For future group leader, what improvement area? Well, I haven't did the group leader stuff yet. But I don't know. I just hope I just learn actually from YouTube that I've already ran. You know, just be prepared. Uh, just be prepared.
Yeah, that's good. No, that's really good. Just you guys saw that I put out that Zoom link on the first day of the week on Thursday. I think that really took a big chunk of my worry off of my mind. So maybe think of doing that first. Just go ahead and schedule that Zoom. And I'll share also with you or in the group text how I gathered this information. And I think it will really help you organize. Yeah, okay. And so who's next? Improvements that you can identify. I guess we'll go with Krista.
Pardon me, I just put a caramel in my mouth.
Oh,
Um,
oh, go ahead.
it's okay. Um, improvements.
It's like we're really stretching here to find
Hmm.
something, right? I think we all did
I
really
think
well.
everyone participated and did well.
Yeah.
Um, like Shai said earlier, I was able to bring some different viewpoints too, just from different worldly events, things I've been through, different positions I've had. Um, for Shanetta, believe it or not, um, sorry, I had to get the caramel swallowed.
No,
Um, um, the violence and crime rates in Spokane are actually higher than Oakland, if you can believe that per capita. Um, it's a rough community. I give Shy all the credit in the world to be working with teenagers. Do you work a lot with crosswalks? Okay.
It's my favorite place to go to. I just love all the smells and the wild personalities and the fires being started in Crosswalk. It's so great.
Where are they building their new location?
It's supposed to be not in a very good area either. It's actually supposed to be across of SCC,
Oh, good grief.
which is not a very good location because currently right now they have a at-risk youth center. So it's a homeless shelter, which is no different than what they're going to be putting in.
Oh, good grief. I was hoping it was going to be over like more like Liberty Lake type area.
So we're currently right now it's downtown and they plan on moving it to a different portion of town where crime's just as bad. So
It is. It is. I know exactly where you're talking about. Okay.
now you guys have some really awesome low life experiences,
If
different.
this would have been two years prior, I'd just be living probably across town or across the neighborhood from her.
Well,
no, I moved to Indian Trail for a reason.
I
It's away
lived
from everybody.
I lived up in 5 Mile as well. That's funny.
So you still in Washington, Krista?
Yeah, I'm over in Olympia, Washington.
Oh, okay. I heard Olympic.
Yeah.
awesome.
I
All right,
don't know
ladies.
where I'm doing to know about all these cities in Washington, but Lord.
It's gorgeous here.
Thank
It's
you.
absolutely beautiful. I love the greenery. I love that it rains here like 300 plus days a year. I love it.
Oh my, I'm not sure I can handle that. I thought I liked rain and then it rained 3 days here and I'm like, okay, enough. And I'm in Arizona, so it's rain is rare, right?
It just smells good on the west side when it rains. That's what it is. Otis,
Oh,
stop.
it is. It is that pine green splash of ocean.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah, we have a desert smell here when it rains, which is a lot different. And a lot of people don't like it, but I love it. Okay.
Tara, whereabouts in Arizona are you?
So southern Arizona, so in Tucson.
Okay, I when I lived in Arizona, I lived in Page and I worked at Lake Powell.
Okay. Yeah. Everything is north of here, so up
Pretty
there.
much, other than Nogales.
Yeah, right, exactly. Or Sierra Vista, Benson. Those are
Mhm.
further south. Fort Huachuca. Um, yeah. Okay, I know we're getting tired here and we've got about 15 minutes, 17 minutes left here. So let's kind of try to, I know it's a stretch, ladies, but let's really try to pull some stuff out here. That way we can reach our time limit. Um, Krista, you had mentioned improvements before you had mentioned your strengths. Um, so for your future group leader experience, you're saying that you'll have more content. What would you add to, just for the sake of, getting the
Like
conversation?
I like how you put together a PowerPoint. I don't know why I didn't think about doing that. So I'll be doing something either with a PowerPoint or other different slideshow when I go to do the substance use.
Yeah, and I wasn't sure about the PowerPoint because I did a search on like, is that good? And it has its drawbacks. Sometimes from what I read, it could overtake and it could distract from the conversation. But yeah, I don't think it did. I hope
No,
every,
I think it just helped us stay on track.
okay, good, 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 good. Yeah, I try not to include pictures and stuff, just, to avoid, I don't know, maybe that would have been okay too, but less is more, I think. Um, so yeah. All right. Who else did not answer the improvement um, ideas for yourself or as a future group leader?
Yeah, I didn't. I think improvement for me would be finding a location that I'm comfortable sitting at for 2 hours, to be honest. And then also just the content. I like both sessions with Krista. I just liked how it just flowed just naturally. And I also like the PowerPoint. So I think finding a balance with both of those styles. And I can't wait to see what Shanetta or Shay comes up with too, so I can copy since I'm towards the end. So
Yeah,
yeah,
right,
I get to use all you guys as an example as what to do on my PowerPoint. But both times have been great, honestly. But definitely for me to be comfortable sitting somewhere for 2 hours.
right.
Um, yeah.
Yeah, really good, really good. Okay. And forgive me, I am getting tired too. Did anybody not answer that question? No, everybody did. Okay. So we're on to the third question is what takeaways did you develop for the next group session? Um, hmm, that's a tough one. I guess I won't answer that one first. Anybody? Krista, you have any takeaways aside from
Yeah.
PowerPoint?
Um, like for all of us still to go, remember to it takes about 45 minutes to download these sessions. So it makes your evening a little bit, even a little bit longer, where I wasn't done till probably some of you were in bed, or sound asleep.
It's good to know.
Other like the other takeaways is like, making sure you have enough content.
Mhm.
Um, I don't know, staying focused for these 2 hours.
Yeah, I know. I had didn't drink caffeine. I'm so proud of myself, but I'm glad that I didn't because then I wouldn't be able to sleep
Yeah, I see all of us starting to fade.
for sure. Okay, Shanetta, any takeaways that you developed for the next group session? Anything that just stood out is that would help you aside from what you did mention, or you can repeat that if you want.
Um, yeah, actually, I'm curious. Is this supposed to be like how we did like mock, um, like the mock interviews section like that? Was it supposed to be like that, or is it supposed to be structured? So I'm kind of confused how like
So
this.
I don't
So
think it was
I'm thinking,
mentioned. I don't think it
hmm?
was mentioned. Was it mentioned at all, ladies, that it would have to be? So I did do a look on YouTube, probably like you, and the one that I saw, I only saw one video, and it was actually on bullying. It was a mock session, but I didn't see that until like yesterday, and so I was like, oh, it's a little too late in the game for me to reach out and be like, hey guys, come up with a fake name and have you guys. I think it would have been better if you want to do a mock session, Shanetta, for your next group, which it's entirely up to each of us how we do that. Maybe let us know ahead of time. I don't know if that would matter, but
I just know there was a video. What was it, week one? I don't know. There's a YouTube video she tied into the re class resources that show group sessions. And that's all I know, but I felt like this was productive. So I guess we'll know if based off of feedback if this is good or not.
yeah, for sure.
But I don't know. I feel like this was a productive group
Yeah,
session.
I agree. Yeah. And I think of the professor, she's got to watch how many group videos a week? How many hours is that? So,
I also like the fact that we're kind of helping each other with like what to expect moving forward just in our career paths and ideas of what we want to do, how we want to do it.
yeah.
Um, And just understanding the group structure, I think, is the big point.
Yeah, I agree. I think groups like just the
Yeah.
structure, knowing the flow. I think once we know that and we're confident in that, we can always, you know, curtail our approach. Um,
And a lot of us, if we're going to work at agencies, inpatient facilities, big outpatient facilities, we're going to have different guidelines we're going to have to follow based off the type of
yeah,
treatment facility. And if there's groups, it'll be based off of like court mandated is
right.
completely structured different.
They'll
It's more
structure it.
educational.
Hmm.
Um, Grief and loss is really different if we get into mental health disorders or like say it's weight loss groups for people getting ready to do bariatric surgeries, whatnot. Those all those different groups are just going to be structured so differently.
Right. Yeah, I look at it as eventually I'd like to go private, and that's probably going to take me some time. That's a tall order. A lot to go that goes into that as far as business structure and your bookkeeping and all.
Hmm.
And working from home, doing that. But yeah, this is really good for somebody like that wants to do that. If you're building um
Hmm.
from the ground up and you don't have an agency that's showing you, the
Yeah.
ropes.
Yeah, I'd like to have my DV program going again. That's all court mandated. And with doing that, I have a curriculum I have to follow that's provided
Mhm.
by the state of Washington, the Domestic Violence Coalition. So I don't have a way to deviate from the DV programming too much. There's so many weeks, so many topics, and you have to hit them all. And they have a course book to follow. So it's a completely different kind of group setting as well. And it's only 1 hour a week.
Yeah, this is a long session.
Mhm.
Most groups are not 2 hours, right?
Uh, Intensive outpatient and substance use disorders is 2 to 3 hours.
Oh, that's right.
Per day, up to 4 days a week. They have to do a minimum of 9 hours a week, 9 to 12 hours, depending on the structure. Um, Minimum's 9, maximum's 12.
Wow. Well, that's intense. That is.
Yeah, so that's why I said, like, depending on the program and what you're doing, depends on, there's a lot of variables in your own states. Will have guidelines that you have to follow as well, depending on what you get yourselves into.
Yeah. I think also working for an agency can show you like where, because I know in managed care and when dealing with insurance companies, you have certain limitations. And I think, for me, I'd like to experience what those limitations are and build, my private practice off of, what areas, uh,
Yeah,
where,
like it,
where are the blind spots in that process.
yeah, for like inpatient substance use, if you're on state insurance, you
Mhm.
have to attend a 1 hour group minimum 7 days a week.
Yeah, so it's a lot of structure. Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of variables.
Mhm. Okay. Unless anybody had anything to add to that, we can go on to our last, and I don't want to skip over it. So,
I had something.
okay, go for it.
I think a takeaway from me from both the weeks that we had is like if I'm gaining some information that I can use, whether it's for myself or someone else, and I think both weeks I've gained some knowledge that I maybe didn't know or haven't thought about, and so that's definitely what I can apply to myself too when it's my time to lead is that I'm adding value and not just talking to take up the 2 hours. And I think both of these times have been valuable with information.
Awesome. Yeah. Yeah, we're growing and we don't even know it. I love it. I love it. Okay, so for the last question, that is for the last 6 minutes or so. You guys all get an opportunity to provide me with feedback on strengths and areas that could use improvement. And Give it to me straight, ladies. I'm cool if you have any, what is that called? Constructive criticism. I'll take it because I want to grow.
Okay, I'll go first. Get it out the way. I was just thinking you did great.
Thank you.
You did. Honestly, the slides for me was because what I've read, what you had mentioned before about the slides might take away from a lot. So, yeah, I felt like the slides was a little too much. But other than that, you yourself as a leader and your feedback, awesome.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I was worried about the slides being, and I think it's, per person, like, we're all different, right? And what helps us stay on track. For me, because I tend to be a little bit of a scatterbrain, it really helps me. But as I become more confident, I probably won't need them as much. Yeah, so thank you for that, Shanetta. Um,
I really don't have a criticism. I think you did really well. Like you were organized, you were planned, you had your game plan. I like I like the slides. And the reason I liked them is because there wasn't a lot of pictures and not like a million colors. I can't handle that this late at night. I also have ADHD, so when it gets too busy, I end up wandering and thinking about something else like a bumblebee.
mhm,
Um,
same here.
so yeah, I enjoyed it. I
Thank you.
don't think I mean, we all need to improve it just by practice, but that's how all of this will be.
Right. Yeah, and the way I'm sitting, like, things like that will improve because if I was in an actual group, I wouldn't be, uh, in my t-shirt, I'd be more professional and I'd adjust some other things.
No matter how much we practice role playing and doing all this, we're still all going to be like deer in headlights when we go into our internships.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure.
Even though I'm in the field and I'm doing my internship where I currently work, it'll be a different department. I'm still going to be like deer in headlights.
Yep. Thank you for that. Uh, okay, so we've got 3 minutes. So Shy, or sorry, Dominique, I see your mute's
Oh,
up.
that's okay. I think it's Shay, right? It's pronounced Shay.
Is it Shy?
It's Shy.
Oh,
Thank
is
you.
it?
So, okay, so the real pronunciation is Shayana, but I go by Shy because my great grandma used to call me Shy. So it's just whatever great grandma said is what stuck.
Makes
But
sense.
I will respond. I promise, guys. Just say whatever. I respond.
Cool.
Okay, got it. I think you opening the session was great. I too like the slides because it's just the way my brain works. I think you kept us engaged, and I think, like Krista said, we all are going to have areas of improvement. Because this is our first time doing this specific thing in this format. So yeah, overall it was good.
Thank you. Thank you. All right, we got 2 minutes, Shy. Fill it up.
Um, okay. Sorry. I'm
Okay.
downhill right now.
Me too.
I think that the outline of having an outline of how you opened it up was good. And like the outline of how the conversation was gonna flow. Um, I don't really have a preference for slides or no, not slides. I'm going to be honest. I have ADD. I don't really pay attention to slides. That's just as my brain, for some whatever reason, doesn't focus when people are talking. Um, but I think overall it was good. Um, with the progression of the conversation and your points that you had that you touched on, like the cause and the effects or the interventions, is really good to touch on, especially for bullying. Because a lot of the times children, like what we've all discussed, like it starts at home. It really does. And most people don't understand that there is a cause and effects to every action that we take in life. And there is an intervention that does help. Does it cure it all? No. It's almost like a harm reduction strategy. But having the knowledge that this could be something that we can do in the future and then progress from there helps. So I feel like having that discussion leads a lot for people to understand like really what bullying is about.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you for that. And I had something I was going to say, but I completely forgot.
I tried to kill it. I'm sorry. Someone killed the last 30 seconds. I don't got nothing.
One of the things that's what it was. So the thing I love about the PowerPoint is there's a notes section that I can see that you guys can't see that were helping me guide the conversation. So things that I already had answers for the questions I was giving you. And eventually I wouldn't need that because I would be able to piggyback off what you were saying. But because I was nervous, I was like, let me have some answers. So that's one benefit of the PowerPoint slides if you guys use those. When you share your screen, yeah, there's a little note section. So, all right, ladies, with that, it is actually 10 o'clock on the dot, and you guys all did wonderful. And I hope you guys get a wonderful night's sleep. And thank you so much for coming and participating.
Yeah.
Bye. See you
Goodbye.
later.
Bye. See you next week.
See you next Tuesday. Bye-bye.
Bye bye. Happy birthday again.
Thank you.